All right, welcome back. This is our GMC tweet of the night from PFF Steelers. Excuse me. James Daniels has not allowed a single sack on 349 pass blocking snaps this season. But the Steelers line could be without their center, Mason Cole, their other guard, Isaac Seumalo, and potentially their running back, Najee Harris. Now, say those guys do play, and I feel pretty confident that 3 of the 4 that I just mentioned would play there. Or 2 of the 3, or I don't even know how many guys I mentioned. But Chris, Mitch Trubisky in place for Kenny Pickett. I don't think this offense can go down any further. They're already bad. They've averaged 12 points a game the last 3 games. The Patriots averaged 12 points a game all season. So this is going to be a slugfest out there, like you said, maybe 7.5. Take the under. But I actually am excited to see if Mitch can provide some type of spark.
Mitch has the best arm of anybody on this team. Mitch has the best legs. Mitch's problem is he turns the ball over a lot. Mitch's problem has traditionally been he does not see the whole field, does not often get through his progressions fast enough. And when Kenny Pickett got drafted, those were the reasons people said Kenny Pickett's a slam dunk better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky. We've now seen that Kenny Pickett does a lot of those same bad things, doesn't see the whole field, doesn't make his reads fast enough, doesn't have even the physical gifts that Trubisky has. I do think more shot plays are going to be in order. I do think Mitch is going to try to take some chunks when they do open it up in the passing game. I don't think he's going to want to dink and dunk. And that's maybe the most realistic chance they have of moving the ball regularly against the Patriots is taking yards in 30 or 40-yard chunks and then kind of hoping that gets them close enough to at least get field goals on the board. But New England makes all of it difficult.
Yeah, because honestly, I don't even think we saw the real Mitch Trubisky because I felt like he was looking over his shoulder ever since they drafted Kenny Pickett.
Come on, Richie. Games. The real Mitch Trubisky isn't very good.
I know that,
stop
but
doing this to yourself.
I think he's better for the Steelers right now than Kenny Pickett. All right, let's go to Will, McKees Rocks. How you doing, Will?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you tonight?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Thank you for taking my call. I had a question for you both. I was wondering, with all of the injuries on defense, if you're going to see any increased playing time for Nick Herbig.
Yeah, no question about it. You're going to see. I don't think you're going to see him inside, but I think they like rotating those guys out. So, and he's getting better. The problem with Steelers defense, like we just talked about a couple of minutes ago, is inside linebacker. And that question was asked to Terrell Austin this week, and Herbig isn't ready to. He's an outside guy. He's not an inside guy, so he won't be playing inside. I don't even know if there's a linebacker that could transition. I mean, if you had to, could you move Alex Highsmith over and then put Herbig outside?
No, I mean, Herbig's body type is the one that's most conducive. He's smallish and fast, and there was the thought when they drafted him that if he didn't prove he could stick as an edge rusher in the NFL because of being too small and not strong enough, they could at least try moving him inside where the speed would really help. And I think that was something that was posited as a maybe 1 or 2 years down the road into his career. If you need to, you can go and do that. But I think he's shown real value as an edge rusher. He looks shot out of a cannon. It's not like college where the schemes are maybe simple enough where you could plug him in on the inside and hope that he could work in a pinch. He would get absolutely worked over. I mean, they're going to have to show some unusual defensive looks, or they're going to have to hope that some of these scrap heap guys are able to acquit themselves well. It more than anything just drives home the point that Mark Robinson, you draft a guy as late as they did, you hope you can bring him along as a project. I think he's pretty obviously behind schedule because they would love to be handing more of these roles to one of their drafted guys, and they just can't do it with him.
Yeah, he's more of a run-stuffing inside linebacker than a guy like Cole Holcomb. Something that they need right now is a guy that can cover. But Landon Roberts is a key piece of that defense, and that's a big loss if he can't play. Let's go out to David out in Rochester. How you doing, David?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
My question is about the quarterbacks, and I guess you answered it already. Why isn't Mason Rudolph playing ahead of Trubisky?
Well, I mean, Tomlin did answer that too. I mean, he's basically been the scout team guy. He's never really been given a fair shake in this whole competition, though, Chris.
I mean, does Mason deserve a fair shake? What does he do well? What does he do really well? 31 other teams had I'm asking semi-rhetorically.
Yeah,
31
yeah.
other teams had a chance to sign Mason Rudolph.
And they didn't.
31 other teams passed on him. I mean, I don't really understand the fascination other than he throws a nice rainbow deep ball. He has almost as little pocket awareness as Pickett has shown at times. He has no mobility to speak of. I don't really think he's a good intermediate passer. I think he does one thing somewhat well at this level, and that's throw a go ball. But all three of these guys have proven at various times that they have an ability to do that. I don't really understand the fascination with Mason except for one thing. I think people have seen so much bad quarterbacking in this town for the last year and a half from Pickett and from Trubisky that they are willing to kind of take a plunge into the unknown, and they just want to see Mason because they haven't seen him in a game that matters. I think if they put him out there, you would find out very quickly why he hasn't been given a chance.
Remember, Chris Hoke loves Mason Rudolph. Hey, let's give McSorley a shot out there. Trace McSorley. He's signed.
I mean,
and maybe you could argue that he had a better college career than Kenny Pickett. Just a little undersized, though. Let's go out to Jim out in Peters. How you doing, Jim?
Guys, this is like the Three Stooges. I agree with Chris Mueller. I'm actually rooting for the Steelers not to make the playoffs. They can fire Tomlin. I'm sick of this crap. I'm serious. Tomlin doesn't take the heat. Now he's getting some heat from local media. But Chris is right. I to tell my friends, he's clamping everything down. I think they may lose Thursday.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, they can lose to anyone. You saw that last week.
His approach means that they are automatically in almost every situation a team that can lose a football game because his approach just yields exceptionally conservative scores that usually end up being one-score games in the fourth quarter. I mean, they have to almost play a perfect game to blow somebody out, and they're just not capable of that. To Jim's other, I guess, wish there, I do think he's been taking a ton of heat locally for a while from fans, more and more from local media. I do think there's a hilarious disconnect nationally. He has a good relationship with a lot of those national hosts who will say things like he's doing an incredible job with no material. That's all bunk. But if you're thinking one like 8-9 or even 7-10 season where they miss the playoffs is going to get Art Rooney to suddenly change his mind on Mike Tomlin, I think people here are going to be bitterly disappointed. The only thing that I think is a pretty interesting bit of Palace intrigue is that I firmly believe Jerry Dulac's reporting, which has been backed up by others, that Art did the firing of Matt Canada, and that Mike only said that he did it, but that was in the literal sense that he told Matt Canada, hey, you're done, but that the decision was Art's. Well, if you've been on a job for 17 years and you are considered one of the better people in your profession, and suddenly your only boss in the entire organization is starting to tell you what to do, you might be inclined to go look elsewhere. And obviously, if that happened, Richie, I think people here would be pretty happy.
Yeah, I believe it too, but I still stand by what I've always said here for the last decade or so. I think if you fired Mike Tomlin, he'd have a job in 10 minutes somewhere else.
Yippee.
I know, but I mean, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I get what you're saying. So I don't know. Let's see them finish out the season, and then we can pontificate on what's going to happen. All right, we're going to take a break. Back in a couple of minutes.